Hey folks, just wanted to quickly tell you that I've just started putting out Zelda shorts on Instagram Reels, TikTok, and of course, here on YouTube. Be sure to follow my socials linked below to help support my work and grow the Zelda short series. I really want it to work. And I'll be dropping a few every single week, so please check them out and help your boy out. Thanks, and now onto the video. The development team behind the glorious Legend of Zelda series has been at it for well over 30 years now, starting back in the mid-80s and currently going stronger than ever with Breath of the Wild and its highly anticipated sequel. With such a long history of 20 plus games, the older ones will inevitably become outdated compared to today's standards, and that is very okay. It shows how things have progressed for both the better and in some cases the worse. But something the developers love doing is remaking these games for more up-to-date consoles to provide a platform for newer players to play them on. As complicated as it can be with Nintendo sometimes, this is really cool. Such as the Nintendo 64 titles being remade for the 3DS, or the GameCube titles being remade for the Wii U. Even Link's Awakening was recently remade for the Nintendo Switch. But the one game that has never been remade is the very first game in the series, The Legend of Zelda. Getting right to the point, would a remake of this game work? But not just any old remake. A 3D remake. A reimagining of the original envision for the series, kind of what Breath of the Wild was, but actually the first game, specifically. The tales from Shigeru Miyamoto's childhood, but with modern technology to make it. I'm talking before any of the lore, before any of the history came, just take that first game and make it 3D. Would this work? Before we answer that, I first have to introduce the sponsor of today's video. I'll see you shortly after this message. Hey, you know what I am? A YouTuber. That's right. So allow me to show you today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. I'm sure you've heard of it, but if not, this free-to-play game is a fantasy adventure set in the world of Talaria, available on both PC and mobile. The game has tons of amazing looking champions, factions, and of course, lore. One of the coolest are the dwarves, with their own unique lore. Let's get to know them. This race was made during the time of creation, and since then have distanced themselves throughout history. Their only interactions with the other kingdoms is for trades and passings. They are made up of delvers, craftspeople, and noble dwarven. A big point of their history was when Siroph's demonic forces invaded the dwarven kingdom, but the noble dwarves triumphed here, further joining the common cause with the forces of light against darkness, ending a period of 1,000 years of non-alignment. The dwarves are incredibly cool, and they have a lot of variety in design, from evil looks to noble looks, to barmaids, sorcerers, and just a proper society. Take my favourites as an example. Some stuff I like about this game after trying it out is how the game controls. Now I know that may be an odd thing to some, but for me I really like the way you play this game. It's a good mix of immersive and manageable. I get easily overwhelmed with games, but still like to feel in the action. This is a good pace and control to achieve that. You can feel immersed in an epic battle whilst also not having to be overly stressed. Another thing I like is the awesome designs and variety of the champions. To pick one, I'd have to say Elhain. One of the first options, funny enough, but I instantly loved their design, and once I got to use them in the first few battles, I was digging their style. But there is such a wide variety of champions to choose from if this one isn't for you. I just like Elhain and their abilities, my favourite being the lightning arrow. Yes, so cool, so effective. Raid is also always improving and changing, so what's new right now? This month, a non-stop schedule of special events and activities, including an absolutely packed Halloween lined up towards the end of the month. We're looking at some big rewards here, awesome tournaments against other players, special fragment events to get some brand new legendary champions, including one spooky Halloween champion, and much more. Raid's bigger, busier, and better than ever, and there are some giant updates coming very, very soon. So there's really never been a better time to get started. If you want to get a huge head start in Raid, all you have to do is hit the link in the description or scan my QR code and you'll get an epic hero, Chonuru, who is amazing in the Doom Tower. 20k silver, 1 XP boost, 1 energy refill, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon an awesome champion as soon as you get in-game. All these goodies will be waiting for you right here. It's all that easy. Download via the link below and get started now. Now that that's out of the way, be sure to go and grab yourself a snack or drink and send them in to get featured right here. Drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already, it really helps the channel out, and let's get into this one. So let's discuss how exactly this could work, starting with the art style and Overworld. Turning a 2D environment to 3D isn't always a seamless transition. For example, here's a fan remake of a sort of 3D remake of this game, and whilst this is really cool, it isn't what I'm thinking. Nor this, or this. I'd like to see this game look like the 3D Zelda games that we know and love, with its own art style of course. It's hard to imagine, and I'm no artist to show you my own ideas, but I think a Wind Waker combined with Twilight Princess art style would work. The cartoonish charm of the Wind Waker, but with the darker tones to fit the theme of this game's story from Twilight Princess. Now you can't have a certain art style without some fitting music. Honestly, this probably wouldn't fit with how I'm envisioning this game to look. But what would is some modernised remakes. I think that would be simple enough to do and also retain the original vibes of the game. And exploring. Speaking of exploring, the overworld design. There would need to be some big changes. The original is set in frames that load as we go, and as seen in other visions of this being 3D, they all tend to keep this segmented view. For me, this would be the biggest change. I'd take this entire map and split it into regions and areas. Woodlands, fields, beaches, mountains, etc. And once this is cut into regions, then blend it to work like a typical 3D Zelda game. We have regions and areas like South Hyrule Field and Twilight Princess. For example, something this size could be a couple of these blended together. One area could be an entire forest area with the famous caves of the first Zelda game hidden around them. The inside of these caves would be easy to transition to. I feel like they could be similar to the caves in Ocarina of Time. Just in this 3D environment, we'll basically walk down a small cave and find an old man or friendly moblin ready to gift us something or sell us something. I think that would work just fine. It's pretty hard to explain what I mean, but I'm hoping I'm doing a good job. Just create regions and areas from this map, and then sort of blend things together like a typical 3D game. Give the game a Wind Waker art style with the darker tones of Twilight Princess added in. If you can imagine that, I think it would be so cool. Now, how about the combat and enemies of the world? Well, enemies I think would be simple enough. Take how they live and act from the original game, which is just chilling all over the land, and do that in this 3D remake. Maybe make them into groups, similar to Breath of the Wild, or pairings like in the other 3D games, but this is easy enough in my opinion, as all of the enemies in this game are already existing as 3D enemies. Maybe add a few camps into the world, but other than that, just have them wander in the woods, lands, and such. You gotta remember that this game takes place in the Downfall timeline, and the whole story is that Ganon's minions are everywhere. Scattering them around would be fitting in my opinion. As for combat, I think 3D Zelda combat is pretty standard, and I see no need to change it up much from the usual. One button swings the sword, one for items, one for your shield, and you get the point. Obviously there would be a few things unique to the game, maybe just the way of Link's standard circle attacks or something like that. But overall, standard combat please. We'll mostly be fighting moblins anyway. That worked well in Breath of the Wild and the Wind Waker, so yeah, it's all good. Next up, the story and dungeons. The story wouldn't be an issue at all, to be honest. It would just fit in with all the transitions to 3D, but what would be so cool, like really cool, is seeing the classic Link, Zelda, and Ganon in a 3D environment. I'm a huge fan of both Link and Zelda's outfits from this game's artwork, and would kill to see it in full 3D. But all in all, there isn't much to say about how the story would translate to a 3D world, as the game is pretty open world and has very little dialogue. I guess maybe adding in some more dialogue would be a neat addition. Maybe make the old man a more key figure in the game, having him sort of guide you a little and explain what is going on, rather than just appear in caves here and there. As for the dungeons, how exactly would they convert to 3D? How they were seen in the original is small little cave entrances that open up into huge dungeons made of multiple rooms. For this, I think the interior idea stays the same. Have a deep underground dungeon with multiple rooms and puzzles, basically like most 3D games, but the entrances would have to change. It wouldn't be overly interesting to find a super small cave opening for every dungeon, to then enter a massive inside. Maybe for one or two, yeah sure, but some of these need to have more exterior sections. Like, for example, the Fire Sanctuary from Skyward Sword. A lot of that dungeon is seen from the outside and is very clear. Unlike other dungeons such as Twilight Princess's Forest Temple, it's a more subtle and hidden within the environment. I think a good mix of them would work. Now, pretty much all of the dungeons in this game look the same aesthetically, and as much as I love themed dungeons, I think for a remake of this game, that it would fit better to keep them all as simply just dungeons, with no particular theme. Just an old dungeon that the hero must explore and take out the boss. Speaking of which, imagine these bosses in a 3D environment. Take Gleeok for example. All forms of Gleeok. Those battles would be so cool and intense. There isn't much to say here, to be honest. Most bosses in this game are simply taken out with the sword or bombs, as dungeon special items used to take out a boss wasn't as implicated back then. It would be very use the sword to slay the beast style. And honestly, I like that. It would help to retain the feeling of this being the 1986 Legend of Zelda, which is why I said earlier that Breath of the Wild is kind of like a remake reimagining, but not really at the same time. Keeping some of the original aspects would really help to do that. Don't make the typical 3D Zelda game, just adapt this to their format. Try to retain as much from the original as possible. This is mainly why I haven't suggested implicating many foreign features to it, more like the modern games. Just use their format and layouts, not their features and traditions. With all of that talked about now, let's consider everything and conclude with would this work or would it not work? Considering all that I just said, from the art style, music, and overworld to combat, stories, enemies and dungeons, I'd say, in my opinion, yes. Of course this would work, but that's the thing. This is solely just my view and ideas on how this could work. You may completely disagree, or maybe agree, but with some changes to how it would work, and you know, the best part about all of this? You can let me know how this would work for you down below in the comments. I love interacting with you guys, so please feel free to comment how things would work for you and if this would even work in your eyes. I'll be reading and replying to as many comments as possible. Thanks a ton for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing for more fabulous Zelda content. As always, a huge special thank you goes out to all of my supporters across Patreon and YouTube. With special mention to new supporter SuperGamer628 who joined through YouTube, and new supporters who joined through Patreon, Monica, Michael, and Gentleman Zomboy. Thank you all so much for supporting, it really means a lot to me. If you'd like to join them and get yourself a shout out upon joining and your name at the end of every video, then consider supporting. Again, thanks for watching. And until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.